Good evening. It is 5:30 p.m. and I'm calling to order this regular meeting of the Fargo Board of Education. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I will look for a motion to approve our agenda. Greg?
Yeah, I'd like to, I move to approve our agenda with the modification to move item 6E to business. And with the addition of the human capital addendum.
Okay, thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, so we have a motion from Greg and a second from Robin. Any discussion? All in favor, please say yes.
Yes.
Any opposition, same sign. And that motion passes 9-0. Next, we will move to recognition of the audience. At this time, the board will hear comments from the public on topics included on tonight's meeting agenda. If there's a topic an individual would like to address with the board that is not on the meeting agenda, we invite those to be shared with board members via email, phone, or the form available on our website. We ask that each speaker who has signed up to address the board state their name and home school district for the record. The board values and welcomes courteous, respectful, and civil behavior from all speakers and people attending the board meeting. The board expects speakers to limit statements to those relating to the operations of the board and refrain from comments of a personal nature, unrelated to the operation of the board. Obscene language and disruptive behavior will not be tolerated. The board requests speakers to not be defamatory, abusive, harassing, or unlawful. The board is interested in your comments and will listen carefully, but is not obligated to respond to or debate issues in this forum. This evening, one speaker has signed up to address the board. The speaker will be allotted a maximum of 3 minutes. Upon conclusion of the allotted time, a chime will sound and the speaker is asked to conclude. If necessary, a final chime will sound 15 seconds later, signifying the end of the speaker's time at the podium. I will now call our first speaker to the podium, and that is Paul Moore.
Good evening. My name is Paul Moore. I live in North Fargo. I'm here tonight to speak about board governance and monitoring, not to debate merits of the laws that I will be talking through. On May 9th, 2023, during a publicly recorded Fargo Public School Board meeting, the superintendent at that time stated that the district would not fully comply with the newly...
Excuse me, which item on the agenda are you speaking about right now?
It's on your sheet. It's memo 73, EL3 monitoring.
Okay, so your comments are in reference to that memo?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, you can continue. I didn't know that.
Well, it's on the sheet. I wrote it clearly.
You may continue.
On May 9th, 2023, during a publicly recorded Fargo Public School Board meeting, the superintendent stated that the district would not fully comply with the newly enacted state law related to parental notification of transgender student policies. That statement was part of public record. In 2025, the North Dakota legislature passed House Bill 1144, adding enforcement mechanisms and penalties to that same statutory framework. Supporters of that bill cited school districts that were not complying.
Excuse me, Paul, this is not in reference to memo 73.
Is 73 not EL3 monitoring report for, and then it's part 4?
Yeah, so you can speak to the monitor, you can speak to what we're approving.
I'm not allowed to give a little background before I get to that point?
It's not relevant to the memo, to the comments on the memo.
Why not? You tell me, because I haven't got there yet.
Tara, were you gonna?
Yeah, it's not relevant to the comments on the memo because none of what the background is addressing the actual comments on the monitoring document. You're also speaking to past actions under a previous superintendent and not the current.
It's never, that was never retracted. And the stated thing on part 4 is that you will not allow anything to be against state law.
Correct.
So it's never been retracted. And so in order to
Okay,
No,
so,
in order to figure out what's going on, you've got to be able to understand how the board thinks. And if the board can't go back and understand
so we're
there are
not
certain
here,
things that are avoiding the state law,
excuse me,
without
Paul.
retraction,
Okay, I'm gonna ask you to sit down. What you can speak to is specifically to this memo and how we rated it, the compliance or non-compliant and our comments, but you're speaking about past issues, not this memo that is sitting in front of us?
Isn't it about state law?
No, so I'm gonna
Isn't it about state law?
I'm gonna ask you to sit down. If this is something you wanna talk about, you can email our board through the form on the website.
What is the?
I'm gonna ask you to sit down. I don't think that you're speaking to this particular memo, to the content within this memo. Okay, we will now be moving on to reports, and our first report comes from FEA President Laura Haugen Christensen. Welcome, Laura.
Hi, thank you. This morning, I was at recertification training for UCARU. Besides reinforcing and refreshing what I already know, Rockstar trainer Eric Larson and my Rockstar colleagues from across the district taught me so much new, too. Some key takeaways. Sometimes we need to literally and figuratively step back and make space. Learning and progress do not happen during a crisis, whether we're at heightened emotion or all the way to boiling point. Because each individual's response to a situation can be different, how do we know what's the temperature? We have to know our people. Before and after a time of crisis, we build and foster safety and trust. This takes time. And this is essential if you want learning and progress, and we do. The expectation of learning and progress comes from a place of support and mutual regard. We have to know and care about our people, and they need to know and trust us. Now, Sigmund Freud famously asserted once that everything is not a metaphor, something like that. Of course, that's wrong. Everything is a metaphor. Besides needing time, learning and progress require a promise to our shared mission and a promise to build, nurture, and repair relationships. And to that baseline, our current climate of political tension, uncertain finances, job insecurity, etc. All the calming and the grounding, all the strategies, the brain research, the de-escalation techniques, all the fidgets, the pads, the training percentages, don't happen in isolation. We will educate and empower all students to succeed, and we do that by committing to helping each other before, during, and after the crisis.
Thank you very much, Laura. And now I will turn to Dr. Steiner for the admin report.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to start with some celebrations. Should be released out, it was actually released out on the 9th, is the 2026 Class AA Academic All-State Team, which is a combination of GPA and ACT scores. I'm going to butcher some names, so I apologize both online and to the students, but for Gold Team, 9 total. There were 3 from the Fargo School District, Eleanor Iverson, Justin Zhang, and Fallen Pasanante. We had 2 out of the 6 for the Silver Team, which was Selena Zhao and Braden Lee. And then we had 4 out of the 11 for the Bronze Team, David Ha, Finnegan Kilty, Pranav Shahik, and Thomas Webb. We also had another 8 that were on the honorable mention team. So just again, wonderful thing. That's been something that's been recognized throughout the state of North Dakota for many, many years. And it is a combination of GPA and your ACT score. So just congratulations to them. I think we had 18 total students recognized statewide for that. I'm sure you saw it or heard it last week. we had the wonderful honor in my first time as superintendent to recognize Jim Erlacher as our 2026 Teacher of the Year. If you haven't watched the video, Jaren did an amazing job and caught it just perfectly. A very well-deserving person to take that honor, and will carry the torch well for all of our teachers as the Teacher of the Year. Rhonda Kelly, Fargo North High School, was the first Catalyst demonstration educator at not only Fargo North, but even bigger at the secondary level. So our very first demonstration Catalyst educator. Kirsten Hansen, all kinds of fun stuff. Kirsten Hansen was recently named the North Dakota Middle School Principal of the Year. That press release came out today. We sent some donuts up for them to celebrate, because that's an honor that is not only about the principal, but that is also an honor that is much about the teachers, the staff, and the students. It is never just an honor of isolation. So Mrs. Hansen, congratulations to her and the Ben Franklin students and staff and community. In a little bit, you're going to get to hear a little bit more about CTE, but I think something that was really cool that Shanda Cool, who's here today, who's really leading our work-based learning work in the district, we had 2 students that are going to do internships with Sanford. Natalie Juarez is doing an internship in the surgical department, and Fortune Anyime is doing one in the neurosurgical department, first ever of their kind, which is just wonderful because it takes one to open up doorways to lots of opportunities for our kids. So this will be just a really great thing coming forward. This month is CTE month, so Career and Technical Education Month. And Dr. Jonas and Shanda are here, and I would like them to come up and just say a few words about our CTE department and just recognize our wonderful people that are doing really great and relevant work in our district. So Dr. Jonas, would you and Shanda come up forward?
Did I get this on correctly? Yes, can you hear me? Awesome, thank you. Well, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Steiner and board members, for allowing us a little bit of time tonight to do a celebration of career and technical education. For some of you that have been on the board for a while, you know this is an exciting month for me that I like to share a little bit of highlights from Career Tech Ed, so thank you for your time. But I want to say thank you first. I just want to thank the board. I look at Jackie Gap, and I just think of so many conversations I have with her about funding and all the work that happens. Jason's on our C3 Tech board. Nikki's been on the board. I have Dr. McKenna working with us on some projects with Education Pathway, and around the table I can name so many people. Dr. Gross, Robin's been on some boards. Our chair, and you've been on the board too. So you guys have always just been so supportive of career and technical education. And this month is a thank you. Thank our educators. Thank our educators in the classroom. With their inspiration, they help make an impact in student learning every single day. And so if you're listening online, I just want to do a shout out to you. You walk around the classrooms and you see students excited and engaged to explore and find out they want to do more or find another door to their career pathway or college experience. And I think that's the great impact. And I want to also just really thank the business community, because they're creating relevance for us. They're stepping in, partnering, donating, doing some internships, guest speakers. Tracy Kramer had an event at Fargo North, and she had 78 guest speakers from the community at her career fair. It was just outstanding, and that's happening at every building. But that business community is leading to some great experiences like Dr. Steiner just described. And so tonight I really want to spotlight work-based learning and Shanda Cool, our new business partner liaison, to share a little bit more about herself and some activities coming up with the Chamber of Commerce and also with our partners with Fargo and West Fargo to even expand business experiences more.
Thank you, Denise. I have a bit of a cold, sorry. I'm just so thankful to be here as part of the Fargo Public Schools District and to get the opportunity to work with our amazing instructors, both CTE and our regular curriculum instructors. I've already had the pleasure of working very closely with Jackie and Tara on getting all of our paperwork in order, which took us a little bit of time, but was well worth it. And again, like Denise said, we are partnering with the Chamber and Golden Pass Solutions organizations, and together we will be doing a special signing for work-based learning and getting all the businesses that we can on board to partner with our students. I just also like to shout out all of the awesome work-based learning students I have. I had several students last semester, and now this semester we have students representing pathways in engineering. We have students working for John Deere. We have students, like you said, another student of ours that worked in the neuro ICU, several at Sanford, one onboarding at St. Catherine's next week in the healthcare pathway. We also have students working in business. We have a student doing a co-op for the Park District right now, and Fargo Park. So they're just, almost every pathway at this point is represented by our Fargo students, and I'm just really proud that our teachers and administration is stepping up to support work-based learning in our community. Thank you.
I think one last thing I'd like to say in response to Shanda's hard work is just pounding the pavement, is that the students are earning experiences at work and they're also earning credit for that work. So we have many students out maybe doing job shadows and work experiences, but this is paid work experience. So just a little clarification on the cooperative work experience that we're trying to develop as well. So thank you, and we look forward to sharing more information. If you want more details, please reach out and we can answer any questions or provide flyers. So thanks.
All right.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Jonas. Thanks, Shanda. No programs are successful without a person that's a champion for that. And anybody that knows Dr. Jonas knows that we have truly one of the most recognized champions of CT education. So thanks, Dr. Jonas, too. You don't get enough credit for all the work that you do as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so I do want to say thank you to our CTE teachers, all the people out there that are doing that work. I think Mr. Brown and Mrs. Howe, who were my CTE teachers back in middle school. And I don't thank them for helping me find a passion. I thank them for tolerating me through not hurting anyone when I was with the bandsaw or trying to sew something, and just their unrelenting ability to say, keep trying, and being patient with me. I still remember those moments, and I'm not very good at them now, but whenever I do something right around the house, I reference those teachers. So I'm thankful for CTE teachers. So,
I think Robin had a question for Dr. Jonas. Is that okay?
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if it's Dr. Jonas or you that can answer this. So a lot of these programs, are they made available through the innovative education grants through the state of North Dakota?
Some of the credit that we can articulate, yes, but the co-op work experience and work-based learning has really been around for a long, long time. It's just how we're taking advantage of it looks very different now than it did in the past.
Thank you, that's helpful. Thanks, Denise.
So I can give you just some updates outside of the celebrations. I've asked Mr. Clark to put on the next planning agenda an update on our planning with Sanford and the potential for an on-site clinic. Those conversations are moving forward in a really positive way, and it's time just to start bringing the board into those conversations about what we believe could be a really beneficial project for our district. So just keep in mind that'll be coming soon. Yeah, as I've shared in planning and then also in a couple different media interviews, our budget conversations continue to occur in the district. We do have a timeline, and so starting next week, we will start some notification of staff who would potentially be affected with these cuts, reorganizations, or reductions. We're going to have, by February 24th, most of them notified, especially at the elementary and classified staff. That information, with the exception of not sharing names, will be shared with you at your work session. Secondary, the reason it'll be a little bit delayed is because we've got to get all the registration done. We will have our final registration meeting on March 3rd, and by that Friday, we will have everybody notified in terms of who's impacted, which then will allow us for notification of individuals by law in writing. But again, that process is continuing to move along. We want to continue to be very transparent and clear about where we're at in that process and make sure that we're continuing to seek feedback as we work our way through our budget reduction. Listening sessions for the Portrait of Graduate continue to go well. I completed Ben Franklin's with their student council, and we'll be at Carl Ben Eielson later this week and then finishing at Discovery next week. So far, 65 students. I also surveyed staff to give me an idea of the things they want to see in a portrait of a learner, a leader, and an educator, and I've got 275 responses. And I will tell you right now, I went through my notes today. I have 30 pages of typed notes on the feedback that we've gotten. So I feel really good that when we do pull all this together, we will have enough feedback to say that these are the things we truly value for a learner, a leader, and an educator in our district. And there's a lot more work after that to get to what does it mean when we say that term. But we're getting a really good amount of information for that. And then just an update on the strategic plan. We're thinking about our pillars. So we have our 5 kind of pillars that you as a board has had in the unified plan. As we work through high reliability schools, and we'll share more at the work session on this. The 3 levels that are very important are, the first one is about a safe, supportive, and collaborative culture. I think if you're thinking through the plan, you can already say, oh yeah, we've got things that we have in there. Another one is about effective teaching in every classroom. Again, I think that fits really well. And the last one is about a very much a guaranteed and viable curriculum. And so we're really thinking that we'll reframe our strategic plan kind of within those areas, which again reduces down the number of different things, but I think also doesn't eliminate the good work that's been done throughout the district and things that can fit in there. So we're continuing to get ready for our first March meeting when Dr. Slavic will be with us. So that's where we're at right now.
Great, thank you very much for those updates, appreciate it. I will now look for approval of our consent agenda. Go ahead, Greg.
I move that we approve the consent agenda with the human capital addendum.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion from Greg and a second from Nikki. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say yes.
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 Any opposition, same sign. That motion passes 9-0. And we're now down to our business item where we have one item in the business section, that is memo 75. And so I'm going to turn to Greg to start this.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Yep. So just to get everyone somewhat up to speed, I've been emailing admin about this. Some of the information I got, some I'm still kind of trying to work through, but really kind of like there's really 2 issues that I'm wanting to have addressed here. The first is we just had Dr. Steiner mention staffing reductions, and now we're already contracting externally while at the same time reducing some of our staff. And I know it's not existing staff necessarily that are going away in order to make room for these. This is an existing contract, but we're expanding and extending it. And I'm just maybe wondering what licensing do these coaches have or need that our staff lack?
It's a good question. So any of our PE teachers would be certified to teach like a weights course. What has been occurring, and Dr. Gross, I'm going to ask you to chime in if I miss it, is the past year we have had certified trainers assisting those PE teachers in that, which has allowed us to do a couple different things. One, build some capacity in our PE teachers who are trained to teach PE, but not necessarily some of the intricacies that go along with weight training and the cardio training regimens. And then it's also allowed us to have bigger class sizes, where in the weight room we would treat it very much like we might treat a Woods class and reduce down the numbers because there is that potential for some danger. So we've been able to increase those class sizes, offer it to more students with really bringing in a community expert inside the building. This proposal is expanding on what we're currently doing in 2 of those buildings at about an additional cost of $17,000. So it'll be a little over $50,000 if I remember right on that. We're currently paying about just a shade under $34,000 for those services.
So maybe another way to get at it is why contract this out instead of, let's say, upskilling some of our existing, I don't know, paraeducators or something like that?
Well, again, good question. I don't know that I would say we would ever be able to do it without a certified PE teacher. I will say, like, since this was in place, it was a conversation that a couple of our activities directors and coaches and PE teachers reached out and said, would there ever be a chance that we may consider expanding this if we can prove that there's a need for kids? And so I did reach out after I got your email today and just asked, where are we at tentatively for next year? Right now, in Davies, we have 285 kids registered for human performance in the 8 periods for next year. If we were able to put every kid in there, that'd be 36 kids per section. There's no way we'd be able to do that. Davies, the weight room is not big enough to do that. And we're at about 245 for first semester at North and 225 second semester. So in terms of the upscaling, we felt that like the community expert side, somebody who's trained in that, would make a really big difference, not only in the classroom, but then also remembering that this person also serves these in our summer programming. So they're also working with our summer camps. So we have, I think it's about 9.5 hours of time Monday through Thursday for summer camps, and about 8.5 hours of time Monday through Friday in our PE courses, our human performance courses. And right now it is at Davies and it is at North. When we met, we offered this to Fargo South, and at that time they just weren't willing to jump on fully. So they do collaboration with Fargo South. So if there's something they're doing that they feel is really beneficial, then they'll go to South and work with them. Down the road, we'd like to see, and I talked to Todd Olson today, we'd like to see that we could expand this to the South High School as well.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned South, because that was the other thing I wanted to bring up is, you know, if this coach, this licensed, you know, person external to FPS is important enough, why do we allow South to not participate in this program when, I mean, South is one of our lower utilized schools, which is a shame, but like this doesn't help that image.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, my philosophy for multiple schools has always been similar, not same. And I think there is some autonomy that our school should have. When we sat down with the ADs, and again, we sat down with some of the coaches, and Mr. Olson is our activities director, and said, is this something you want to see? At that time, it just wasn't, and I believe that they have a better feel for their building. This was in October when we had the conversation. I think long-term, that's a conversation that needs to happen, but we wanted to give them some autonomy on what they chose to have in their summer programming and that. Bob, is that correct? I mean, from when we built that course, does that sound accurate?
It's absolutely accurate, yeah.
Yeah, Melissa?
I just had a question. If a South student was interested in taking the class, would they have an opportunity to go to North or?
Yeah, absolutely, as they would with any course. Yeah,
Okay.
they'd absolutely have that opportunity.
And we have a shuttle that goes between our buildings,
Right.
so transportation would not be an issue as well.
Okay. And I will say anecdotally, I know that a lot of the coaches encourage all of their athletes to take this. And I've heard a lot of positive experiences from students with the course.
Yeah, I know at Davies, our PE facilitator actually reached out and said, can we reduce down and say this is the amount we'll allow with the size of the weight room? So we actually had to reduce down. And even when I was talking to Mr. Miller, who's built schedules at Davies, he said we may have to consider not allowing freshmen just because we won't have enough room in there. And I see the irony of cutting staff and adding. It's not lost on me, but what I've also shared, and I think I shared this in planning, is even when you're in the midst of budget cuts, you do put money towards things that have been very positive for kids and that kids are involved in. And this has been one of those things that, whether it's been, hey, we really need you to participate in this course to do well in a sport, or just kids that have chosen like this is a lifelong activity, it's proven to probably be our most popular course right now.
Jason?
Just, could you cover how this program benefits our students and what it would mean if this was taken away?
Well, I think, I mean, so how's it benefit them? I mean, when you bring in the community experts, because I think it's timely, because I didn't even think about this with Dr. Jonas. You know, when you bring in some of those experts and they're training alongside, there's that really relevant experience. I think you know this, our coaches are not getting rich off of this. What it has allowed them to do is not say, okay, we're going to get done with practice at 6:30 and now we'll stay till 8 o'clock and do our workouts. It's allowed them to build that in during the day, and those kids that can't make that work, that do have some time, they can still do some of that after the school day or before. So I think what it's done, it's been very good at individualizing, meeting needs. I know we think about it in terms of athletics, but it's not just an athletics course. I mean, this is a lifelong thing. I wish I wouldn't have been taking so much pride in not going to the gym for years, because it seems like it's been tougher for me to catch up after all that time. So I think we have to look at it as a lifelong skill. And ultimately, if you pull it, it doesn't mean we're not going to have weights class. It doesn't mean we're not going to offer summer programming. But what it does mean is that it's going to have a reduced impact on the number of kids it can reach. Because, you know, if you said, well, we could just hire another teacher, what I want people to understand is it's a $50,000 investment for a person at each site. And we use 65,000 kind of as the base for our teacher. So this was a way, again, to impact kids in a way that, like, again, to actually expand it. And I will say, we've talked about the long-term funding model. One of the ways that this will be funded starting in 27 is we will increase our fees. Our camp fees are very affordable in the summer, so we'll increase. And then the other thing that Dan Schultes has been doing, that we have our streaming platform. He worked with a couple groups this year to say, hey, what if you put an ad on that streaming platform? And they're running commercials, much like something if you've ever watched Your Live Event, which is a pretty common streaming platform for athletics. So we can actually get some funding towards that too. So we're looking at not just absorbing all those costs, but finding other funding mechanisms as well too. Sorry, long drawn out answer.
It's okay. We do need a motion at some point, so, okay, all right, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I move that we accept the proposal from Sanford Health for a 3-year contract to provide strength and conditioning coaching services and issue a contract accordingly.
Second.
So we have a motion from Greg and a second from Kristen. Is there any more discussion or questions? None? Okay, all right. Anne Marie, can you call the roll, please?
Kristen Nelson,
Yes.
Robin Nelson,
Yes.
Olenberger,
Yes.
Berkland,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Day,
Yes.
Gullickson,
Yes.
Jason Nelson,
Yes.
Christensen Meyer.
Yes, and that motion passes 9-0. Okay, we're now moving on to our board reports, and I am going to start this evening with Kristen Nelson.
Okie dokie. So just a couple things. Met with Dr. Steiner last week. We had a really wonderful conversation about updates. And then today I was able to join the Self-Directed Academy for their Futuristic City Expo. That was really neat. So they read the book The Giver, and they based their futuristic city in the year 2050. And my, oh my, there will be some crazy things happening in the year 2050. Dr. Diedrich did send me a little snippet of the video to show how busy it was there today and how many people each group presented to. But my computer died, so I will send that in your email. But it was a fantastic afternoon.
Great, thank you very much. Melissa?
Yes, on January 30th, I visited Roosevelt, which is one of my liaison schools, and I got to tour the entire building. I met with Principal Ostrom and some of the administration staff and the special ed teachers, and we talked a little bit about the transition and changes that are going to be coming with the consolidation of the elementary schools. And I think that Principal Ostrom is such a wise, kind, wonderful leader, and I'm really excited for the future of those campuses. And then we have negotiations on Thursday at noon.
Greg?
I don't have anything to report other than as soon as we're done here, I'm going to help volunteer at the Clara Barton Hawthorne Book Fair.
I'm glad to hear you're continuing that tradition. Okay, Robin?
Yes, I had my one-on-one with Dr. Steiner. I had an interview from somebody from the Spartan Scroll, a junior at Fargo North. And I've got to tell you guys, do a lot of media interviews. Her questions and her process rivaled many reporters' interview techniques here. So I need to get my hands on that article. And then I had lunch today at my liaison school, Carl Ben Eielson, and Principal Franklin walked me in and showed me the process. And I said, I just want to visit with students. I don't want you here. I just want it to be unstructured conversation. And boy, middle school conversations are something else. But it was such a wonderful day. It just fed my soul. Had a great conversation with Student Resource Officer Niemeyer. He's now at Carl Ben. And the food was really good. I had a reimbursable meal and I couldn't eat it all. So I had my protein, my grain, my fruit, my vegetables, and I did have chocolate milk. So it was a great day.
Nikki?
Thank you. I'm almost a little jealous, Robin. I might have to give that a go. Last week, I attended on Thursday the NDSBA Winter Summit. It's rebranded from the negotiations, meeting, summit, convention, whatever it is. But I was pleasantly surprised. They had brought in some different speakers to talk about things other than negotiation, as I believe they're trying to expand that. And some of that content was really very good. I don't have a copy yet of all the content, but when I do, there were a couple of times where I thought you guys might like to look through some of those presentations. One of them is we heard from Levi Bachmeyer, who is the new state superintendent. He is fabulous. He's going around the state, and I think he's going to be really good for our students in North Dakota. I was just really pleased with his appointment. And then advocating for public education outside of the capital, North Dakota for Public Schools, ND4PS, the number 4 PS. If you support public schools and all that's going on with them, that is a fantastic resource to access. A lot of that information, Aaron Oban does a beautiful job. And that's about it for right now. It was really good. I was only able to attend for the one day, but it was well worth it.
Thank you, Nikki. Namal?
Thank you. I met with Dr. Steiner. I had my one-on-one with him, great conversation. I also attended my calendar committees, which we had a great conversation too. It was very interesting and very productive, and it was very thoughtful engagement and insightful discussion. I thought it was awesome. There's a lot that I did said in the end because a couple of students, if I was a student, put myself back, to where if I go back to high school, how I can be so excited if they add me into this calendar committee. And then I'd be like, I'll make it if they add me in there so I can make it more excitement, I think. And maybe instead of having a long break of spring break, maybe cut it shorter. But anyway, that was my opinion as a little girls. Okay, and then what else did I do? So this just as of today, I attended an online information session hosted by Howard University, which is actually it was on our schools here. I mean, like through our email, it was sent out. So I took advantage of it, and that they introduced program for the system. District leaders provide interactive previews of in-person and online institutions. Opportunity to connect with peers who are planning to attend and guidance on how this institute support leader building togetherness, more effective like administrative, teaching, learning, organization, and so forth. I thought that was really a good program by Howard University, and the way that they just spoke about it. And also to board member are definitely are welcomes to come. And but anyway, I guess that has to be your price out of your own pockets. Doesn't have to be the school. I'm just saying it. So this coming week on the 12th and the 13th, planning committee and negotiation, I guess. Gonna be fun.
Thank you, Namal. Jason?
Like many of you, I also had the one-on-one with Dr. Steiner, which was very productive. Mine was on a Friday afternoon, though, at 4 o'clock, so I was a little disappointed. We talked beyond 5, but it was a great conversation. I chaired the planning committee meeting last week. Might be the last time because it ended up adding a second meeting this month to planning this Friday, where we're going to talk about TIFs and pilots and where we want to go with that. For everyone that responded to the doodle poll to find times that align so quickly, thank you. We were able to get that on the calendar for Friday, so hopefully we can get this in the rear view soon. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Jason. And Allie?
All right, so I was able to get some liaison visits accomplished. I got to go visit Lewis and Clark, and Jason and I had a great chat. We got to just walk around the school and check in on the classrooms and the kids. We just kind of just did an ad hoc walk around and poked in and said hi to people. I happened to get there a little bit early, and so I hung out in the office for a while, and their office staff, it happened to be a Friday, and so as on Fridays, there's a lot of activities, kids going in, out, everywhere. They said they had over 130 different types of absences or early dismissals for programming that day. It just was one of those very busy Fridays, and so kudos to our office workers and all that they do and keeping all of that straight. They had a lot that day, and so just a shout out to them and all that they do to keep our schools running well. I had the opportunity yesterday to actually sit in on the department chair meeting at Fargo South, which was so exciting. They even got to I got to even be in a group. It was really fun. They let me write things with an actual pen. The other teachers had erasable pens, so I had the actual one that was permanent. But we talked a lot about just all of the things that the teachers have on their plates and different initiatives, and really the concept around an 80-80, right? So can 80% of your staff tell you exactly what this is, and are they 80% of them doing it? And that's really where you look at the effectiveness. And so we looked at all of the different things. One of the major ones that they came up with that said, yes, 80% of our staff is doing this and 80% of our staff knows why and is actively working on it, and that was the cell phone ban. And they kind of talked about, it didn't necessarily mean like we all decided it. It was kind of told to us that we had to do it, but we've done it well, and look what can happen and how quickly you can make a change in an environment when you've got everybody moving in the same direction and everybody on the same page. So one of the things that I can also talk about is that our teachers, besides just educating our kids, have way too much on their plates. And so I know that we're really looking forward to simplifying down our strategic plan, because that really does trickle down to the additional workload on our teachers, and being able to pull some things off their plate to make it very crystal clear on what it is that they should be focused on. Attendance goals at Fargo South was their #1 goal this year. They have made amazing strides in moving the needle on that this year. Partnerships specifically with a social work program, bringing the counselors in, things like that. They've done a couple different things to help move the needle there, but they made that their goal, and they've really, really moved the needle on that this year. I don't have the data numbers in front of me, but Christy did share those with me. So kudos to Fargo South on making major strides on their goals this year. And one other thing that we talked about was really around busing. Came up with, again, during this exercise we were doing about activities, and feeling like kids at South would participate more in clubs and activities if there wasn't the constraint on busing. So kids can't feel like they can't stay after school to participate in a club or an activity, because then they don't have any way to get home after that activity, because they are typically kids that take the bus. So a couple different things that we talked about there, and just some different ideas, but just an opportunity. Obviously, I know it's one of our pillars about having kids participate, and that is definitely a barrier that was brought to my attention around kids not being able to participate because of transportation issues. So that's all I have.
Okay, thank you, Allie. For my report tonight, I'll share that I was able to actually attend that career day at North High that I think Dr. Jonas was referenced earlier. I shadowed a student, Elsa Ruth Pryor. She's a senior there, and the students each got to pick 3 different careers that they would kind of go and visit. And so we learned about a career of teaching. We learned about being a child life specialist. And then we also learned about what it's like to work in fish and wildlife management. So that was very different than the other 2, but seemed like a really exciting, fun career path also. And I learned that North Dakota has more national wildlife refuges than any other state in the country, and that is because of our wetlands. So that was exciting. Also, since we met last, Dr. Steiner and I had a sit down with some concerned parents from South High, kind of echoing some of the information that Allie just shared. I appreciated them reaching out and being involved in that conversation. Then last week, along with Nikki, I also attended the North Dakota School Board Association Winter Summit. I attended a session on issues in a non-negotiating year where they basically recommended keeping communication going all year long. And so I'm very grateful for Laura for making that a priority, and Melissa and Dr. Steiner for keeping those conversations going. Attended a session on board elections. It was mostly focused on school board members, but they also talked a little bit about the mill levy and bonds. Made me very grateful that our county runs our elections for us. And that sounds like a pretty heavy lift for some other districts. But one of the main reasons I went there was because they held a session on expanding how we evaluate our superintendent. I got some really great ideas on that I brought back to Dr. Steiner in our one-on-one. And I think that's something that as we move into that second year, maybe adding in some of those things to make that process a little more effective. So yesterday, and then also I would echo what Nikki said about our new DPI superintendent, Levi Bachmeyer, just such positive messaging from him, and it just really seemed like he's bringing a real sense of passion and appreciation for his role. So I'm very eager to see, to follow his leadership. Yesterday, I had my one-on-one with Dr. Steiner. Also, governance met. We finalized the agenda for our February 26th work session, where we will be covering the strategic plan update, budget reductions and reorganization, and the mill levy vote. We also, as a governance committee, we reviewed Dr. Steiner's evaluation. We made some minor tweaks and changes to a few policies, reducing board travel as part of our budget reductions, and then also a policy related to notifying staff of any action that would remove their position from the negotiating unit. Those will all be, the policy tweaks, I would say, will be on the consent agenda for February 24th, so please make sure that you look through those, and then at that meeting, we'll also be talking about Dr. Steiner's evaluation. And that is all I have. So our next meeting will be February 24th. It is now 6:17 p.m., and this meeting is adjourned.